Those are beautiful flowers, Kody. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The flowers. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Kody, Janelle, Christine, and Meri has sort of established this culture that there was to be no affection in front of each other. And I know that Kody wants to be more affectionate, but feels like he can't. And I don't know what it was that night. I just went, my husband gave me flowers. I'd like to say thank you. I'd like to give him a hug and a little kiss. And I think everybody should.
Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. Okay, Robyn Brown is a big fat liar, and now I can show to you with proof that Robyn Brown was saying for years that the wives should be able to kiss Kody in front of one another. In fact, that clip is from 2019 when the Brown family had their last Valentine's Day together. Maybe, I don't know if that's true, but they had fondue on Valentine's Day while they were all living in Flagstaff. They were just moved there and they had this big celebration, and Kody got bouquets for all the ladies. And in the middle of getting ready for this dinner, Robyn walked up to Kody and gave him a kiss on the lips while he was holding a child. So she said that it was just a quick kiss. She felt like everyone should be able to kiss him. And now this season, she's pretending like she doesn't know how to have any sort of physical affection with Kody. It's bananas. Okay, so let's talk about other lies that Robyn has had. This new episode that's going to be coming up this week is about Coyote Pass, and they're going to have this like standoff at Coyote Pass. And apparently it's Robyn that is the most reluctant to see Janelle and Meri. And why? Why is she reluctant to see them? Because apparently there's been a lot of crap talking. I guess Robyn has forgotten that she was the one that during a tell-all accused the women of not being Kody's best customer and being fat and having stretch marks, and also, nagging him and fighting with him and just being, it's their fault because if you're not going to give it to Kody, somebody else will. I'm just saying. But now suddenly she's worried about what everyone else is saying about her. Okay. So Kody made a quip in the teaser for this week where he says that at one point in time, he actually considered calling Janelle and doing a backdoor deal behind the backs of Meri and Robyn, and that he would sell Coyote Pass from under them, excluding his wife from the transactions. That is ridiculous. I don't even know. That wouldn't even been legally possible with how the properties were held. But even if that's true, even if he considered doing that, I don't know how he would have done that, but let's just say it's true. Why would Kody have been mad with Robyn about the sale of this property? What would it have been that would have made him so frustrated with her that he would consider selling it out from under her? Well, technically speaking, Robyn and Kody owned 2 parcels of this property as community property with rights of survivalship. And the larger parcel that they had once owned with Christine, and then a smaller 2.42 acre parcel that they owned together and had always owned separately from everyone else, were held as community property. So there was absolutely no way that Kody ever would have been able to sell anything out from under everyone else. Janelle and Kody did own one parcel together that they technically could have sold out from everyone else, but it was only 2.42 acres. The other one they held with Meri as joint tenants, meaning all 3 of them would have had to agree to the sale. Now, because of the way that the properties were structured before all of this got divided, and they came to a legal agreement between lawyers so that they avoided litigation, Robyn had filed a disclaimer deed with the county saying that she was giving up any claim to this property because the property was purchased by Kody sole and separate from her with money that had nothing to do with her. And therefore, this was Kody's property. Okay. So Robyn had claim on about 52% of the property combined with Kody, but Kody had about 71% of equity of the property himself. So, I mean, if you put it all together, Kody and Robyn had about 71%. Okay. And Meri and Janelle had less than 30% total. So this had to be divided. It had to be fixed because they were going to get screwed. And Kody came up with this concept of selling Coyote Pass in the same time frame that he was trying to buy a home with Robyn for $2.1 million. Okay. And I did some digging to just sort of get some understanding about how he would have qualified, because Kody did say he needed the money from Coyote Pass to qualify in order to get this home. And I don't think he needed the money from the sale of the home, let's just be honest, because the deeds didn't change until after they closed on their house for the 2.1 and they have a mortgage for 1.6. But they did have a high jumbo loan mortgage. So if you've not are not familiar with mortgage, I worked in mortgage, so let me explain something to you. Jumbo mortgages are over what is considered the federal limit of what is insured under the federal government. They've got Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and they set the conventional loan amounts. And so anything above the conventional loan limits is considered a jumbo loan and are not backed under the insurance of the federal government, meaning the lender is the one that must carry the risk. And there's no one to bail them out if the loan ends up foreclosing. So it's a higher risk loan, and the lenders have to absorb losses more greatly on these than they do on the conventional limits, because the feds will carry and insure parts of those. So with that said, because they have to qualify for a jumbo loan, there's going to be all kinds of different qualification processes that they have to qualify for. And Kody and Robyn have a big problem because they are not actual W-2 employees. And so because they're not a W-2 employee, and they don't have that W-2 to show that they have a consistent salary, they're paid as a contractor for TLC. Most lenders would require them to probably be able to provide them a couple years of tax returns and statements, either 1099 forms or something to prove that the income that they're claiming they make can be verified in terms of a tax return, 1099 forms, or such. But also, because of the fact that they aren't considered salaried employees, they may be also required to show a higher level of liquid assets and cash reserves, along with having not just liquid assets, but having a higher net worth. And higher net worth includes this ownership of property. Okay. And so when Kody and Robyn went to qualify, they would have been able to use Kody's 71% stake in the Coyote Pass as evidence of his net worth. So 71% of the total sales price, which was 1.5, would have meant that at the time he would have said, "Hey, I've got $1 million over here at Coyote Pass that's technically mine." So that's how we're going to use this to help us qualify, to show that we have a high value of money that's available if on the off chance that something goes wrong here with my income, right? They're also going to have to prove that they have a credit score over 700. For cash reserves, they're likely to have been required to show to the lender that they had 6 to 12 months of total mortgage payments available to them, including principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. It's highly likely that, given the amount of their loan at the time of their closing, that the monthly payment was over $12,000 a month. So if you times that by 12 on the most conservative end, they would have had to have 144,000 in cash reserves liquid. They also need to have a debt to income under 43 to 45%. They had to come up with $420,000 for the down payment. Kody and Robyn would have also been able to use their current home that they were in at the time that they bought that home, the Hash Knife home. They would have been able to also claim, we have equity in this house that's also a reserve or equity asset, which would increase their overall net worth. Okay. So they sold the house for 1.75. They owed about $700,000 on the home when they sold it. They walked away with just $1 million. I think it was around like 800 some thousand dollars. So combined between the two properties, they were telling the lender, we have about $1.8 million in equity in real estate. That is ours. So that's how they used Coyote Pass to qualify. Now, where the fight comes in between Robyn and Kody isn't about Kody needing the money from Coyote Pass to pay down the loan, because they didn't. It wasn't contingent that they needed money from Coyote Pass sale to pay down that loan to afford that house. Because if that were the case, the lender would have required them to sell Coyote Pass before they signed a loan for this new home. Okay. So Kody and Robyn end up closing on their house. A month later, the Hash Knife Trail home sells, and Kody and Robyn no longer own the Hash Knife Trail home. It cashes out. They get whatever equity they get. Part of that money goes into their down payment with that home, and then Coyote Pass is still an issue. So because Kody and Robyn were claiming that they had over $1 million in equity with Coyote Pass, think of it this way. Because Kody and Robyn are married, Robyn legally has to agree to what he does. And so if Kody decides that he wants her to add Meri and Janelle to their parcel, right? So he's going to say, I'm going to put Meri and Janelle on the properties that we own together, just so you know. She can say no. She can absolutely say no, because she's going to say, I signed this property community rights with joint rights of survival. That means I own this outright, and I'm not going to give up my equity in order for you to give money over to them. Additionally, she can block him from selling any of the parcels that she's on. She claimed that she wasn't going to finish this until everything was fair. And when she said until everything was fair, I'm believing that she meant everything was fair for her. I don't think it had anything to do with the women, because the women in this case were getting their fair share based on what Kody had come up with from the legal agreements between all of the lawyers. The agreement ended up being that Kody and Robyn would come down and they would get 50%, Janelle would get 25, Meri would get 25. And that's how the proceeds of the sale would be going out. The proceeds for Kody and Robyn went as community property with joint rights of survivorship. So what that means is that if Kody dies, Robyn is the sole heir for that property. And it means that she's the one, and she doesn't have to share Kody's assets with any other of his heirs. So she is able to block all of Kody's other kids from any claim on his property by owning it this way. If she would have done it as like joint tenants with Kody and that money goes out, if something happens in their marriage or if Kody dies, any one of Kody's children gets up to 50% and splits the other, and Robyn gets the other 50%. So Robyn needed it to be this way. Otherwise, if something happens to Kody, she'll have to fight his other kids, not just her kids, but his kids with other women for his estate, unless he has a will. And he very may well could. But this is why you know that Robyn has been greedy this whole time. And what this fight's been about is because not only did they buy the house, their current home, in a trust that only Kody and Robyn are on, meaning they're the only two that have access to this trust. So the current house that they now own is blocked from everyone but the two of them. She's very greedy. So that means if Kody dies, it's only her that gets the money, nobody else. Unless there's a trust agreement that he disperses the money to his children. But the motivation here is that Robyn is greedy. She's after the money. So what does the fight come down to? And I know this is like a whole lot of confusion if you're not a numbers person, but bottom line is for Robyn to agree to sell all of these properties and to do the split that Kody and Janelle and Meri agreed to with attorneys, Robyn had to agree to give up over $300,000 in equity between her and Kody. Had they done it if they would have gotten 71% of the equity under the original terms, the two of them would have walked away with $1,065,000. Okay. But under the terms of the agreement, they ended up walking away with $750,000. So she had to be willing to agree to give up $15,000. So truly the fight is about that. It's about also her not wanting to give up something she believes is a representative of the family or whatever it is. She also doesn't want to give it up because she believes she can build her cult compound there, which is weird because she just bought a $2.1 million home. So I think what Kody was motivated to do was, one, to get the home that had a compound feel for Robyn, because that's what she wanted. And then two, once he got that cult compound at the $2.1 million home that they live in now, that has a guest house for his concubines if he ever gets one, now she can finally give up that property. But she didn't. She still waited and dragged her feet. So she held up the sale of the property. Kody came to an agreement with these women in December and January of 2025. He started talking to them as early as September about doing this, but they formalized it by signing in January. So Kody and Meri and Janelle all agreed to the terms in January. Robyn did not agree until March 26th. And then finally, it was recorded on March 27th. The property then sold in April and was recorded in the end of April of 2025. So Kody and Robyn were fighting about what she believed was her equity. She had to be willing to give up the $315,000 and the control that she had over that property, and she dragged her feet along the way. So to tie this up in a nice bow for you, in case you've missed or got confused by all of that, Kody, Janelle, and Meri all come into an agreement in January of 2025. The fairness of the agreement was always that Kody and Robyn would own 50%, Janelle 25, and Meri 25. This was a fair deal. Robyn says, I'm not going to sign until it's fair. Everyone else had signed. It was already fair. She didn't sign because she was fighting over the money. She didn't sign because it was her way to control Kody. She didn't sign because she's greedy. She didn't sign until they had to sell the property. They were fighting over money. This is the woman that once claimed that Janelle never gave her money for the down payment, even though Kody now admitted that she did. This is the woman that denied she owed anyone money, and now she's fighting over $315,000. That's Robyn Brown. She wanted it fair for her and nobody else. And that's Kody and Robyn's fight about money. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, besties.